let me take a look here. I think I've got to do one. Excuse me. So for the rest of the interview, I'm going to be pulling a Tom Cruise.
And I'll be
we're never going to invite him. So Tricia, tell us, what is it like? I mean, you're an actor, and there's this room you're in, and there's a set, and there's some wonderful actors in there with you. But clearly, it's an extremely exciting scene, and a lot of the excitement comes from the hostility that the Centurions were bring. You know, how do you think through that? How do you pretend like it was all happening? What are the biggest challenges?
Well, it's a lot easier now in the fourth season than it was in the first season, because now we know what the Centurions look like and how they move, how they walk, how their guns come out, all that kind of thing. In the first season, it was all just blank. So it was a lot of imagination. It kind of takes you back to, you know, being an actor, takes you back to being a child talking to your imaginary friend.
Because you had never seen the Centurion before.
No, we hadn't seen them, and we, you know, all we knew was from the original series where the men were dressed up in suits. And so now they developed these, or they made these cardboard cutouts of the Centurions. So we know, because I think they had trouble that we were all kind of looking at, you know, our own height and not looking up at them or whatever. So they bring these cardboard cutouts for the flight shots at the very beginning, and we all giggle because the most convenient place to hold an 8-foot tall cardboard cutout is in the crotch. So they all walk out, the special effects guys walk out with holding, you know, these Centurions in the crotch, and we all giggle because they're finally getting some action, you know. But no, you have to imagine that they're there, and that's where eyeline is very important. In a shot like this, where you see me standing with the two Centurions, you just have to imagine. But then when they come in for your close-up and the Centurion is actually cut out of the shot, they will put a tennis ball on a C-stand up there so that you look at, you're having something to look at.
Well, we have a couple of clips. I think we have a clip here, the same clip. Why don't you talk us through what was happening? So this is the same clip. And there you are on the left, standing all by yourself.
All by myself. It's very lonesome. And again, where the writing is that's where they had put the cardboard cutouts. So we knew where they were. I had already done eyeline. Basically, I had a spot on the wall to look at where the Centurion was going to be. And in this scene in particular, it wasn't that difficult because I knew what the Centurions were going to do. They came on my command, so I wasn't necessarily, you know, aside from the odd glance, I wasn't really communicating with them too much. It gets more complicated when you're actually talking to a Centurion, or they're handing you something or whatever, because then you do have a crew guy coming with like a stick with a tennis ball at the end, and you're, you know, pretending you're handing him a file or whatever. And also, if you're talking to a Centurion, you're talking to a tennis ball on a C-stand. And I don't know if any of you have talked to a tennis ball before, but they don't emote very well. So it can become challenging.
Now, in some of the scenes, so you're talking to a Centurion in some scenes, but in some scenes, there are actually multiple of you, right?
Yes.
Apparently, you're not that special. There's like 7 of you or something.
Yeah, there's multiple of me, yes. Those are actually more difficult scenes for me to do personally because I don't know how many of you out there watch Battlestar, but I'll give you a short version.
Hey.
You may remember this scene. There was one where it was sort of in a conference room, and they did the camera went around, and it was Caprica 6. Then there was another 6. Then there's a few Leovans and Drowls and whatever. And then there was 2 more 6s. Oh yeah! Well, we have to do it first, though. I do this Caprica 6 first, and then you have to change clothes, and everybody has to change clothes, and then you have to come do this one. But you're talking to an empty chair, and then you're talking across the room to more empty chairs of yourself, and empty chairs of other characters that have multiple characters. And it's a lot of, that's where the blocking process comes in. You block a scene prior to filming it to understand kind of where everybody's going to move and what's going to happen. And that becomes a lot more intricate than the normal blocking because you have to go through each scene, or each person. And this scene in particular was very difficult because the original one, Caprica 6, ends up getting up and walking towards the front of the scene and having a fight with somebody who's threatening my boyfriend. And he ends up shooting me in the head, dead. And so those 2 6s, yeah. When I'm playing these 2 6s over here, we had to do the me being shot last because of the prosthetic, which it takes too long to put on and put off. So I am literally, you're me and I'm me, okay? And we're watching another one of me walk over to the front of the room, get in a fight, get shot in the head, whip back, and fall down. But it's very hard to imagine when you haven't actually shot that yet, how you're going to fall, where you're going to land, how your head's going to end up. And you kind of feel a bit like an idiot.
And so this is really acting in the 21st century, right? I mean, this is really about, you know, you being able to convince the audience that everything is really happening when nothing really is.
I'm a little bit of a control freak, so I have a hard time not going up to all of them. I'm like, okay, walk like that. I don't stand like that. And you know, they've just heard, oh, she's like the blonde robot, and you know, so they'll be walking like she's on a catwalk or something. And I'm like, no, she's a warrior, she's a fighter, she's you know, she's strong, and you got to play her that way. So maybe that's what physical computing will actually help me with my control issues.
So Tricia, where are we going to see you now? What are some of the things that you're working on?
Well, actually, I'm about to leave tomorrow to go film another episode of a show I hear you like, Burn Notice. I play Carla, and she's getting to finally do some fun stuff and manipulate Michael quite a bit. And then next week after that, I head up to Vancouver, and I'm shooting a pilot for Fox Network called Inseparable, where I'm playing a cop psychologist. And there's a little bit of hint of a BSG movie coming out that is supposed to start filming next month as well. So a little bit of tying in of little odds and ends here and there that maybe got left over in the season.
Well, you've become the sci-fi fantasy of a lot of guys out there. So we hope you do a lot more Battlestar Galacticas in the future. Thank you for coming and joining us in the celebration.
I know a lot of you out there are, you know, artists and engineers and scientists and just passionate enthusiasts that what you're doing with visual computing is transforming every industry. And as somebody in my industry in film and television, I feel it. I see it every day on set. It's exciting. But I warn you, if you make anything as complicated as a Cylon, be nice to them. Because they will rebel and they do have a plan. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.